I didn't think much about the locks at first dot when you move into a new apartment with a stranger. You expect quirks. Maybe she's messy, maybe she eats your food, maybe she leaves hair in the drain. But my new roommate Alina had just one quirk. She locked her bedroom door. Constantly. Not just when she went out, but when she showered. When she slept, even when she was just in the kitchen for a few minutes. Every time I passed her door, I heard the click of the bolt sliding home dot at first. I chalked it up to caution. This city wasn't the safest, and the apartment building wasn't in great shape. Peeling wallpaper in the hallway, buzzing fluorescent lights, and a front door that never fully latched. But there was something about the way she did it. Fast, frantic, like she was afraid of something getting in. The Move Me knee found the listing online. 2-bedroom, cheap rent, close enough to my night classes. When I showed up for the viewing, Alina barely looked at me. She stood half hidden behind her door, pale face peering out like she'd been caught doing something wrong. The apartment itself was decent. Small living room, narrow galley kitchen, one bathroom we'd share. Her room was at the end of the hall. Mine was closer to the front door. I work nights, she muttered as she handed me the lease papers. I sleep during the day. I'm quiet. You'll barely notice I'm here. She wasn't lying. In the first 2 weeks, I barely saw her. Sometimes I'd wake up to the sound of her door unlocking at 2 or 3 in the morning. Soft footsteps in the hall. The fridge door opening. Then the bolt sliding shut again. The sounds it started with noises. Not loud, just strange. Late at night, I'd hear soft scraping from her room. Like furniture dragging. Sometimes faint whispers, though I couldn't tell if she was on the phone. Once, I swear I heard a low hum. Not music, just humming. A single note held far too long. I asked her about it one morning. She was buttering toast, pale as ever, hair hanging like wet string around her face. Hey, do you play music at night? I asked casual as I could. Her hand froze, butter knife midair. No. Silence. Then she stood, dumped the toast in the trash, and locked herself in her room, dropped the first red flag one afternoon. I came home early. Sunlight actually reached the living room for once, cutting through the dust. Her door was closed, as always. But this time, the lock was gone. Not unlocked. Gone. The knob was bare metal, scratched raw where the bolt had been. A fresh padlock sat above it, thick and industrial. I stared at it for a long time. Then I heard it breathing. Slow, shaky breathing from the other side. I stepped back. The breathing stopped. That night, a note appeared on the fridge in shaky handwriting. Please don't knock on my door. The smell 2 weeks later, the smell started dot rotten sweet, like spoiled meat left in the sun. It seeped from under her door, curling into the hall, clinging to my clothes. I gagged every time I passed by. Once I knocked, I couldn't help it. Alina, are you okay? Silence. Then don't worry about it. Her voice was hoarse, like she hadn't spoken in days. That night, I heard dragging sounds again. Something heavy, sliding across the floor. A dull thump. Then another dot the slip it happened on a Tuesday. I woke up at 3 a.m. to pee, shuffled into the hallway, and slipped on something wet dot blood dot, eighth in. Trail of it smeared along the floor from her door to the bathroom. Heart hammering, I followed it. The bathroom door was ajar. Inside, no Alina, no blood. Just an empty, spotless room, as if someone had scrubbed it clean in seconds. The trail ended at her door. Locked. Of course. I pressed my ear against it. Silence. Then, faintly scraping. The confrontation, I couldn't take it anymore. The smell, the noises, the blood. Something was wrong. The next evening, I waited. Lights off, ear to my door. At 2:17 a.m., I heard the familiar click of her lock. Footsteps in the hall. I crept out behind her. She was in the kitchen, back turned, standing completely still. In her hand, a knife. Alina? I whispered, doubt she froze. Slowly, her head turned toward me. Not her body, just her head, unnaturally slow, like something from a bad dream. Her eyes were black, not metaphorically, black, pupils blown wide, swallowing the whites. You shouldn't be here. She said. Her voice sounded wrong, deeper. Then she smiled. The door. I locked myself in my room and called 911. No answer. Deadline. My phone wouldn't even turn on after that. Footsteps paced outside my door for hours, soft humming growing louder. Then whispering my name over and over. Come see, come see, come see. By morning, it was silent. I left. Packed nothing. Just walked out and never went back. Aftermath 2 weeks later. The police called. They'd gone into the apartment after neighbors complained about the smell. They found Alina's room empty except for one thing. A dozen padlocks on the inside of the door. When I first moved in with Rachel, I thought I'd lucked out. Cheap rent, nice neighborhood, and a roommate who kept to herself. The 2-bedroom house was small but cozy, with old hardwood floors and a kitchen that smelled faintly of vanilla. From the candles she burned, Rachel was quiet, polite. She worked early mornings at a coffee shop and spent most evenings in her room. We got along fine, until the night I woke up thirsty and found her standing in the kitchen. Completely still. The first night it was 2:43 a.m. when I padded barefoot into the hallway. The moonlight spilled through the kitchen window, silvering the counters. And there she was, Rachel, standing in front of the sink, not moving, not drinking, not even breathing, as far as I could tell. Rachel? I whispered. Her head turned, just her head, and her eyes caught mine. Wide, unblinking, glassy. Go back to bed, she said softly. Then she smiled. But she didn't blink out the change after that night. Rachel changed. She stopped going to work, stopped cooking, stopped speaking, except for muttered fragments through her door. I'd catch glimpses of her in the hallway, in the kitchen, always in the dark, always staring. Once, I woke up to find her standing in my doorway, just standing there. When I gasped, she turned and walked away without a word. The scratching 3 nights later. The scratching began soft at first, a faint skittering sound coming from inside the walls. Then louder, closer. Sometimes it sounded like nails dragging across my bedroom door. I knocked on Rachel's door. No answer. The scratching stopped the second my knuckles hit the wood. The next morning, I found deep gouges in the hallway floor. The smell by the end of the week. The smell arrived rotten, sweet, overpowering. It seeped from under Rachel's door and clung to everything. My clothes, my sheets, my hair. I gagged and begged her to open up silence. That night, I heard her laughing, soft at first, then louder, then screaming. The night in the kitchen, the last night I saw Rachel. I woke up to the sound of humming. I crept into the hallway. The house was pitch black, except for the glow of the kitchen light. She was there, standing in the exact same spot as before. Only this time, she was holding something. A knife. Her face was smeared with something dark. I don't want to think about what it was. Her eyes were wide and wet, pupils blown so huge they swallowed the whites. Rachel, I whispered, my voice cracking. She tilted her head. Bird-like, you're awake? She said softly. Then she stepped toward me. I ran. Aftermath. I didn't stop running until I was 3 blocks away. Called the cops from a gas station. When they entered the house, Rachel was gone. But in her room, they found something worse. Dozens of photographs. Me sleeping. Eating. Hundreds of photos. And scrawled across the walls in black marker. Over and over. Don't wake her. It was my first semester living on campus. Cheap dorm, ancient building, creaky pipes, the kind of place where you could hear your neighbors sneeze through the walls. My roommate Ben seemed fine at first. Quiet, kept to himself, always wearing headphones. The only odd thing. He never slept in his bed. Every night, I'd wake up at random hours and see him sitting cross-legged on the floor, staring at the wall, The first note 2 weeks in. I came back from class and found a note under my door, not slipped into the room. From the inside dot, it was written in shaky block letters. Don't sleep tonight. I laughed nervously. Assumed it was a prank and tossed it. That night, I woke up to soft rustling. Ben was standing by my bed, facing away from me, muttering the second note the next morning. Another note, if he talks to you, don't answer. I confronted Ben about it. He just stared at me, confused. Said he didn't write anything, but the handwriting matched his notebooks. The whispers at night. I started hearing voices, faint at first, like whispers carried through pipes. Then clear. Let me in. Wake up. Don't trust him. Sometimes. It sounded like Ben. Sometimes. It didn't. The third note a week later, the smell started. Rotten. Damp, like mold and spoiled meat. It seeped through the vents, thick and choking. Then another note appeared. Move out now. I tried to confront. Ben again. He wasn't in the room. His bed hadn't been touched in days. The night everything. I woke up at 3 a.m. to the sound of paper sliding under my door. Slowly, deliberately, another note. My hand shook as I picked it up. Stop reading these. Not me. The hallway. I grabbed my phone and ran into the hall. Every door was open. Every room was empty, except for faint footprints. Muddy, bare, leading toward the stairwell. The basement, I shouldn't have followed them, but I did down into. The basement, where the smell was unbearable. The lights flickered. The walls were damp and streaked with something dark. And there, crouched in the corner, was Ben, or something that used to be Ben. His skin was gray. His eyes black, sunken pits. His mouth stretched too wide as he whispered, over and over, don't answer, don't answer, don't answer. The escape I ran. Didn't look back. By the time campus security checked. The basement was empty. No Ben. No footprints. No notes. Just one phrase scratched into the concrete wall. Deep enough to draw blood. Roommates. Forever. When my old lease ended, I jumped on the cheapest place I could find. An old boarding house converted into apartments. The walls were thin, the hallway smelled like mildew, but it was all I could afford. My roommate, Theo, seemed fine at first. Quiet, polite, always reading in his room across the hall. We barely spoke except for awkward nods in the kitchen until the noises started. The knocking every night at 3 a.m., I'd hear it. 3 knocks. Slow. Measured not at the front door not at my door it was And every time, I'd hear Theo get up, open the door, and whisper, I am here. Then silence. The first time I saw it, one night, I peeked through the crack in my door. Theo was standing in the hallway, door wide open, but no one was there. He was talking to nothing, whispering like he was answering questions I couldn't hear. Then he shut the door, slowly, deliberately. The notes a few days later. Notes started appearing under my door. Don't talk to them. Don't look at the door. Don't. Open. I tried to ask Theo about them. He just smiled weakly and said, you'll see. The smell by week 3, the smell came. Rotten meat and damp wood. It seeped through the hall, clinging to my clothes. Theo stopped leaving his room. I hear him pacing, muttering, sometimes crying. Then, one night, I heard something else. Breathing, not Theo's. The door opens. I woke up to slow creaking. Theo's door. Across the hall, opening by itself, in the darkness, I saw him standing there. But he wasn't alone. Something stood behind him. Tall. Wrong. Its hands resting on his shoulders. They both stared at me. Theo's mouth moved. But the voice that came out wasn't his. Your turn. The escape I slammed my door, shoved a chair under the handle, and didn't move until morning. When I finally opened it, Theo's room was empty. No furniture, no clothes, not even dust. Just one thing scratched into the floorboards, deep and jagged. We share now.